Right. Well, hello, everybody. Well, thank you very much for coming. It's always a bit of a gamble when you put out a call for a workshop on a topic. You never know, if people are going to respond. But it's wonderful that so many of you have with such enthusiasm and with such interesting talk titles as well. So thank you very much for that. So just to say very few words about what this workshop is about, you probably already know, but what it's not about is strong memory. So strong memory being that thing where all of the updates to memory become visible straight away, all is in the same order that they were issued by the program, and visible throughout the entire computer straight away. Computer designers realized that if you don't guarantee that, then you can get better performance in a bunch of different ways. And so that kicked off a whole load of academic and industrial research into understanding what these computers do guarantee to programmers, what they don't guarantee to programmers, and how we can reason about programs that are running on these kind of computers. The specific focus of this workshop is on where weak memory is heading, so the future of weak memory. Is weak memory getting weaker? I think some people today are going to argue that yes. Is weak memory getting stronger again? I think we're going to have some views on that side as well. Are there still more systems, more architectures, more languages to formalize the weak memory models for, or are we about done by now? If we are done, do we need to move on to adjacent problems like persistent memory, distributed memory, and so on? Or is the whole thing obviated by everybody programming using ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot? So I just want to say a sentence about each of the talks that we have coming up today. So we have Matthew Parkinson from Microsoft, who's going to tell us about his experience programming concurrency in the presence of weak memory. We're going to have Sewell Chakraborty from TU Delft, who's been looking at heterogeneous computer systems that combine several weak memory models together. We have Vasilis Klimis from Queen Mary, who's been taking ideas from how to empirically validate memory consistency models and apply that to validate memory persistency models. We have Mike Dodds from Galois, who's going to ask a very provocative question: does weak memory matter? We have Luc Giessen from UCL, who has been looking into how to test that compilers are respecting weak memory models when they optimize concurrent programs. We have Hernan Ponce de Leon from Huawei, who's going to talk about how we as a community should be doing a better job of making our weak memory models available, functional, and reusable. We have Hans Bohm from Google, who's going to reflect on the C++ memory model, what its intentions and assumptions were back in 2011 when it was first introduced, what the committee at the time maybe got right, and maybe a bit about what they got wrong. Stephen Dolan from Jane Street, who's going to argue against an aspect of weak memory and say that compilers should guarantee certain orderings to programmers, and that doing so doesn't restrict the compiler from performing certain optimizations, and in fact, actually enables certain optimizations. We have Paul McKenney from Meta, who's going to argue that compilers should make extra guarantees to programmers about respecting semantic dependencies. And then we're going to have Ori Lahav from Tel Aviv, who's going to argue the opposite, make a case against semantic dependencies, just to drive up a bit of controversy there. We have Akshay Gopalakrishnan from McGill, who's going to tell us about his research into deriving one memory model from another. We have Simon Cooksey from NVIDIA, who's going to argue in favor of ever weaker memory models, at least for NVIDIA GPUs. We have Reese Levine from UC Santa Cruz, who's going to be talking about GPU memory models, specifically the higher level languages for programming them, like web GPU. We have Gil Herr from Sewell, who will argue that every weak memory behavior can be captured by an in-order execution model. So there is no such thing as weak memory in a sense. And finally, Thibaut Perami and Ben Simner from Cambridge, who will tell us about the future of system-level weak memory models. So finally, can I make a plea for interaction, making the most of this in-person gathering? So please, I haven't actually checked this with the speakers, but I'm assuming it's okay for you to heckle lots and lots during the talks. Lots of questions. There's plenty of time for coffee breaks and lunches, but make it a constant conversation. Great, over to you. Thank you.